Okay, in this video we're going to put it all together. This is all the cutout parts for a full-size coin pusher. The only scrap we had was right down there, the two triangles on the floor down there. And we're even going to cut them up. We're going to cut triangles. We're going to put them in the base for support. We'll go to that here pretty quick. But this is all the parts you need for a coin pusher, except for the bottom, what they call the loot chute. And then we have this plywood over here for that. So I'm going to have to do that in a later episode. And I don't have all that drawn out. I don't even know what I need. So I'll have to draw out the parts that I make, so you'll know what to cut out. We'll have to do that later. But that's all of our parts right there. There's the two sides, rights and lefts. All this is doubled up. So in this episode we're going to put it all together. On my 4-inch toe board, I did wind up running this back through this table saw, just to get it all squared up good. It'd probably been better if I just ran it through the table saw to begin with. Every project is going to be different. You're not going to have I can't tell you exactly what to cut it out. Okay, on this compound miter saw you can cut 2 boards at a time. Okay, now we're going to do some 4-inch triangles. It's going to go on the base. That's pretty good. Well, I think that might work. Okay, I'll take you back over here. This is our baseboard here. These triangles are for right here. And might need to hit that off there a little bit. Let's see if it fits better the other way. Yeah, it fits better that way. Same way this side. We're gonna glue these in and tack them in. Now this is upside down, so we'll flip it over and put the shelf on. We'll do that here in a minute. We want to glue and pin nail this side, but not the bottom side. Okay, these 2-foot pieces, like I was telling you, they go on the front side. You don't want your machine any wider than 2 foot, because your glass is just under 2 foot. Your sides will go on here. Cut a couple pieces of triangles for the front supports. This long edge right here should be the same as the bottom of the machine. Let's check that real quick. Just like that. Now we'll get the sides on here in a little bit. We're going to flip that over, and then we're going to put in the shells. And that will definitely make it a lot stronger. Right now it's kind of flimsy. Also make sure you're using long enough brads, pin nails, whatever you call it. As I was shooting some small, wasn't holding good enough, so I had to switch to longer ones. So now we'll get that thing flipped over and we'll get the shelves installed. Okay, this is where I'm going to be cutting the bottom shelves. One of them's going to be a little bit too long. Okay, now we need to pull them back off, glue them, and nail them. Just like a house, this base right here's got to be good. We might have to pin nail this after it dries good. Main thing right now is get it good and square, nailed in good. May even come in and support this a little bit more. Maybe run another strip down through here. Okay, I'm going to put some more glue in these seams here. Okay, I've been working on a little bit while I'm off camera. And I took the two center strips, then I cut off these long ones, and I put them together and screwed them together. Then you glue it in, pin nail it or screw it, and put these little side pieces on there. That's for the center. That's for the center support. Now that thing's so strong you can walk on it. That's what you want. You want a good solid base. So now we're going to flip that thing over. We're going to sand it all down real good, because it'd be a whole lot easier to get to now. Okay, got it all sanded. What I'm going to do now is pick out a side. This is going to be the front side. This is the very bottom shelf. Probably going to edge band this right here. We can either, that little gap right there, we can either glue it or caulk it. We'll get to that later. But you need to pick out your best side and get it all sanded nice and smooth, because it will show. Just going to paint this black. Here's another look at the inside. Get your corner bracing in here. That's for make it nice and sturdy. All this makes it good and sturdy. This is so sturdy you can walk on it now. So we're gonna flip this around to the front here. Okay, now we're gonna glue the bottom side panel here. I need to get some more glue. Okay, this is your side panel here. Just hoping to get that moved before it dripped, but it didn't. Okay, now we want to make sure we get it good and flush here in the front. Also make sure you're building this on a real level floor. Good and flat floor. You'll notice I got a piece of flooring material down on the ground. Okay, we just want to make sure we got that good and flush. Okay, I'm using 1-inch brass. I'll get it tacked in good. Go over on the other side. We'll take some caulking. We'll run down through them seams later. Okay, that ought to hold it. Okay, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Same thing with that. Get some glue on it. Don't have nothing to hold it up, so just lay it flat. Get some glue on it. Okay, that ought to work. Okay, this is something that I did not do. This is something I did not do, and I want to add it to the video. Take your T-square, and when you're gluing your side panel on right there, make sure it's all square right here. See, I'm about 1/4 inches off right here. That's what you need. You need to make sure these are all squared up with it and make it a lot easier to build. So just take your, when you're gluing this side here on, take your T-square and make sure this is flush with that. That's flush down here. That's something I did not do, but I wanted to add it to the video. Very important. So mine's just a little bit off, but just gonna have to live with it. Okay, same thing with this one. We want this nice and flush against the front. The back can run wild. You don't want it too long though. Okay, gotta move back about 1/2 inch. Let's get it. Okay, putting in the first backboard, and it is pretty much 2 foot across. You got to keep that 2 foot spacing. If you pre-ordered your glass, where it's just a shade under 2 foot. See, that's just right at 2 foot. But this front edge right here holds your glass. You got to keep that 2 foot spacing. You sure don't want to trim that. You sure don't want to trim that glass, because you'll never be able to get it as smooth as the factory edge. So what I'm going to do, that panel is just sitting in there. I shoved it in from the top. So what I'm going to do now is pull it back out. I'm going to glue down the edges of it Let's do that real quick. Pull it back out, you'll see it bow in real good. Now we're going to go from here. You wouldn't have to glue this, I guess, but I like gluing all my panels. Gonna go from here. I gotta get some more glue the next couple days because I'm gonna be running out. Okay, that's good. Run a little bit on the bottom. That side over here. Get it flush. And pin nail it in. Okay, that's good and solid. Pin nail it in. Angle the pin nail so it will shoot towards the back. You don't want to shoot through it. Same thing on this side. Okay, that looks good. Now we get the top backboard. Should be right here. So that's real important to label all your stuff. You run that all the way to the top. Okay, there's your top backboard. All glued and pin nailed in there. It's starting to look like something now. This is what it looks like from the inside here. There's your bottom board. Might try to put in the top shelf now, or the middle shelf or something. Have to see how that's going to fit in there. Okay, on the middle shelf we're going to put in strips. This is about 1 inch wide, 2 foot long, 30 inches up. This holds your main shelf for your play area. So you're going to leave a little bit of space, about 1 inch here in the back, so you can get a back wall on, so you get your back door put on. And you need to leave plenty of room right here in the front, because this is where your coins are going to be coming off. Leave about, let's see how far that is. I'll get to it. Four and a half, 5 inches. At 5.5 inches. Yeah, you want to leave yourself plenty of room up there. You want to get that trim piece put in, let it dry overnight. I put that in with 1-inch 1-inch brads. They will come through a little bit on your ends, so I'll just have to sand them off. We haven't done any painting on it yet. So that's what it'll do. Right here, they'll come through just a little bit. We'll sand them off. That way you know this thing's going to hold up. That look good. Okay, I'm going to show you this again. Make sure I'm clear on this. 30 inches to the bottom of that board right there. Around 30 inches. And that board's around 30. And that board's around 1 inch, so that puts you 31 inches right to the top up here. Figured I better make that clear. 31 inches to the top where your shelf goes. And that'll put you right up here where this bend is. This is one of my top shelves. So it gives you plenty of room for your prizes and stuff come off. You have a front shelf. You have the front door going in here. So that ought to give you that'll give you at least 4 inches. So that ought to work. Okay, this is the center shelf. We got to trim it down. You want to have it this little cutout right here is where your motor's going to mount. We'll have to move that up here. So now I'm ready to cut this in a table saw. This is where the coin pusher is going to mount. The motor will be right underneath it. Okay, that ought to work. Your side table's over here. And they do need to be just above the pusher table. Okay, this is the door on the front of the machine. We're going to trim about 1/4 inch off of it. Make room for the hinges. Okay, that's our first trim for the to hold the glass in. Get the next one in. Find one without too many saw marks and put the good side up. It's going to be painted anyway. I'll get some glue put on that. Okay, I got a couple more pieces in. This is the doorway here. I got this piece in. Let's see, that's going to be And that's recessed back, however you want to do it. That's about 4 inches by 2 foot. And that's just one of your strips. This is so the glass can sit on top of that. We'll do a glass fit real quick. This is just plain old plexiglass. It's 2 foot by 36 inches. So we'll have to trim the top of it. See, that sits right down on there. And this door goes up in here. And I did put a stop down there. I put a stop down there on the, right there. That's for the door. And I did put one on the other side, but then I had to take it back off because my hinges goes on that side. So it's a good thing I didn't glue it. Okay. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to do this. Door goes on there. Like that. Then you get you some angle iron, aluminum angle iron. And that's going to sit on there like that, where they can't raise up the, where they can't raise the glass up. And everything's all locked up. You can either paint this black or you can just leave it aluminum. But a lot of the machines have it curved, or just a real nice bend across there. They don't have a 90-degree angle on that. I kind of like this because I can see myself stacking quarters right here. So I think that'd be pretty cool. So that's the middle section here. Now I'll start working on the top side. I'll pull this plexiglass off of here. That's got a covering on it. See right there? Covering on both sides, so it's not all scratched up like it looks. So that sheet's about $50. Main thing is you want to make sure you got your 2 foot. Main thing, you want to keep your 2 foot distance in here, so you sure don't have to trim it. It sits right down in here. Now this little edge right here, I'm gonna glue that. I'm gonna caulk it in behind, fill all that in, fill it in here, and strengthen that up, because that is a structural part of the cabinet there. So I want to beef that up, but the glass sits in there real nice. Okay, now we're going to start working on the top side here. We're going to put in a couple shelves in the front piece. This is one of the top shelves. Go up in here somewhere. Probably wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and put some little strips in there so we can just make it a lot easier to install. Measure down and stick them in there. I think we'll do that real quick. Okay, now we're working on the top shelves. I cut a piece 21.5. Put it right in there like that. That's where I got my, laid my strip on top of that, nailed it in. Do that on both sides. Okay, all this up at the top is just, all this up at the top is not even glued or nailed in yet. It's just sitting on the this front panel comes back out. You can either leave it like that, and put a front panel in it. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put this front panel in there. I'm going to put speakers in it. Put speakers in each side of here. And you do about the same thing up at the top. Measure up here. I got that shelf recessed down a little bit. Because you got to keep in mind, you got to have enough. You got to be able to, unless you got a piece that's wider than that. This is the panel that we got cut out for it. You can either put it in like that. You could get fancy. You could cut out a circle here, put plexiglass in behind it, put your letters in there, coin pusher, light it up from in behind. However you want to do it. I'm going to put coin pusher in here, but then I'm going to have speakers on each side. So I'll show you the back of it real quick. Okay, there's the top where the shelves are. Here's the back of it. So you got a piece that we put in down here on the bottom, and then a piece we put in up here at the top. So you got a big space in here, 2 foot by 28. So back here on the back, right back in here is where the motor's going to go. And you want to leave a little bit of space in here for your wires to come through. We're also probably going to drill a hole in here so wires can go through. So that's not going to be any problem. Like I say, back here is where the motor's going to go. And we'll start working on that probably in the next episode. We still have, down here in the bottom, we still got all the loot chutes and all that stuff to build in there yet. So we're not quite done with the cabinet. Okay, now we're going to take out the top panel here. Going to put in some speaker holes. So none of this is glued or nailed down yet. So we'll just pull that out. Put some X's on here so know where to drill our speaker holes. Okay, it's a 2 foot panel. Mark it right in the middle. You don't have to be perfect, but we just need a little X in the middle here so I know where to drill. I want them to look halfway uniform here. Okay. Same with on the other side. Cross to cross. Okay, that'll give us a pretty good idea where to drill. Okay, now you take a 3.5 inch. Take a 3.5 inch hole saw, put it on your 1/2 inch drill. Now we're ready to drill. 3.5 inch hole saw. See if I can't get that little bit right in the center of the X. Okay, it ripped it out a little bit. Hopefully that's going to be the back side. Okay, do it again. Okay. That was fun. There's our speakers. They will probably mount to the back side. I don't know if they can though. That front grill's got to go on the top side. I guess you wouldn't have to. Yeah, that's perfect. 3.5 inch. And then you got your speaker grills that goes on top of that. I could have had them a little bit further over, but that's fine. Okay, we got the speaker holes drilled. The bottom piece, we got the right hand side, where the square hole is, got a little stick holding it up there, or it would fall out. That's going to be where the power switch is going to be. Over on your left hand side is going to be where the skill stop switch is. And in the center is where you put in the coins. We have this part right here. It's going to go in behind it. So you got 2 areas here you can put coins in. Probably going to trim it out with something. Skill stop, and that's where your stop button is. So that's going to about conclude the cabinet build. One more thing I might add. Down here where your 2 pieces are for the front, you got this piece parallel with the, got this piece in front of the door right here. You got this piece going up here with the glass. You need to stick one more piece in behind here. Nail it in, glue it, where this will be a whole lot more sturdier. That's what I'm going to use that piece right there for. That's holding this up. I'm going to stick that in behind here and glue it. And in the next episode we'll start painting and gluing and caulking and painting, and so that's going to do this video. You don't have to put speakers in, but I'm going to, because I'm going to put in a DVD player and a little LCD monitor in behind the play area. We'll talk about that later. But this is going to conclude the cabinet build. So that's going to finish up episode 2. And we'll just pick up where we left off in the next episode 3. So thanks for watching.